Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we discuss a timepiece whose history is shrouded in mystery, often described as either inspired by or a replica of a watch built for the Pasha of Marrakesh in the first third of the 20th century. The Cartier Pasha de Cartier is in fact a 1985 product of no less an authority in watch design than Gerald Genta himself, so very different from the tropes he introduced to watch design in the 1970s. The 1985 Pasha represents the true beginning of this model line, and a very eccentric take on Genta design, almost as offbeat and quirky as the watches he designed under his own nameplate during the period. But the example in my hand is actually a 2020 reboot of the Pasha model line. Top to bottom, there were new watches in precious metal and base metals. There were larger sizes, mid-sizes, and this Pasha de Cartier represents a mid-size option in the 2020 reboot collection of Pasha de Cartier. So 35 millimeters in diameter in steel, it's 9.3 millimeters thick. It's about 42.4 from lug tip to lug tip. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. And you can see it's actually a decent size. I wouldn't describe this as too small for my wrist. I would also say that it fits well underneath the cuff. So while it's got a strong personality and it's got a pretty pointed and provocative design to it, it does it with impeccable manners because of the discrete proportions and dimensions of the watch overall. In fact, I'd recommend it for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. The strap's not broken in, so I'm pulling it tight. We have these hinge lugs, which assist with ergonomics on a small wrist. The strap's actually quite stiff because it's robust, it's bolstered, it's stuffed. The layers of leather are thick. You can see it's a gloss, dark blue with a dark blue matching monotone stitch, no crimping, no gouging. We have a combination of large, medium, and small rectangular scale alligator leather. The edge is folded. You can see on the bottom we have our inlay of calfskin, no crimping, no gouging down here either. Cartier factory strap, and this latest generation of Cartier Pasha de Cartier features a push-button quick release so that you can quickly and easily pop the strap off of the case to swap to a different option and change the look of the watch. Now, the timepiece includes a buckle that's descended from the one originally created by Louis Cartier in 1909. There are some changes here. As you can see, we now have a twin trigger release system, so it's not friction fit, so you've got a little bit more security against accidental deployment. And you can see that the mechanism, internally at least, has been redesigned a little to make it easier to feed the strap through, pin it down, and then close the buckle so that there's no additional extra length flapping in the breeze. You can't see it. It's all underneath the clasp body, and there's no need for minder loops. Now, all that is pleasing because, well, it does draw you close to history, as Louis Cartier in 1909 created the first deployant clasp of any kind for a wristwatch. But this is a little bit more refined, both in terms of its internal profile and the use of triggers rather than a friction fit arrangement. We have these little sort of tapered pyramids that sit on the end of the lugs. We have a combination of satin and polish in judicious blend. We have a little sapphire on what's best described as a canteen crown. So it's a crown on top of a crown, similar to the kind of water-resistant solution you might have seen on Bew ships type watches in the 1940s in the U.S. Navy, or perhaps water-resistant watches that may or may not have been made for the Pasha of Marrakesh. But you can see we have this twin-row knurling internally, as well as a sapphire cabochon on the actual functional crown that can be used for winding and setting. And then we have this little recess underneath. You can see that the attachment of the crown to the case is more robust than in previous versions, and Cartier intends that this little platform inside the recess be a platform not just for mounting the hinge, but also for initials or a monogram that you may wish to add by engraving. So that's a fascinating take. The watch does feature hacking seconds, and you can see it features a classical Cartier rosette guilloche dial, although you'll also note that the Watch features a inner scale that is sort of a rectangle or a square, really, because it's symmetrical side to side to side, and that sits inside a circle. So you've got this square inside a circle for a little bit of calculated dissonance. And then you have an unbroken dial. The larger versions of this watch do have a date. This one does not. Some will find that aesthetically preferable. And so we've got a balanced dial with quarter Arabic numerals and a lovely sort of Art Nouveau font, blued broadsword hands for the hour and minutes, and then a counterweighted Lancet-style seconds hand. Just to make sure there's no doubt whatsoever, you can see the watch is not loomed. And then we turn it all over, we have a very modern movement. Now this is a drop-in replacement for the age-old ETA 2892A2. And as you can see, it's Cartier's 1847 MC based on the year the parent company was founded. Now, this is made in their La Chaux-de-Fonds factory, and because it is a drop-in for the 2892A2, it is, I believe, a 25.6 millimeter diameter, 4 hertz beat rate, 23 joules, automatic winding. It's got a 40 to 42-hour power reserve, hacking seconds, and then a full balance bridge for better shock resistance. And then we've got Edicron for fine timing adjustments and beat error correction. You can see it's a single barrel movement, and while it's industrially finished, some will find it entertaining to be able to see the mechanism underpinning their watch. And there's a lot to love. This is also a true sports watch, so on the proper water-resistant strap, it does have 100-meter water resistance, so you are welcome to swim with it, provided it is on the right strap. That's where the quick switch system comes in, so you can put it on something a bit more water-tolerant. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.